To end off our crazy triple header, we make our way to the most important track and race of the season, which will be in Spain. Plenty of teams are bringing upgrades here, and a lot of teams will have to make changes to their front wing because of the big TD directive we've been talking about from the beginning of the season. This track could determine the outcome for a lot of teams, and it's going to be really important to see which team can thrive after reducing the amount of flex being permitted on these front wings. It's been a big talking point from the beginning of the season, this TD directive, and the team principals have had a lot to say on why it will be very impactful, especially for a couple of teams that I will go a lot in depth about. But the upgrades being brought could also be a game changer for a couple of teams. So right before I talk about all of that, I wanted to thank you guys on Real support. Thank you so much. We're making our way to 100K, which is just crazy to even think about. We're almost at 85. So thank you so much for that. If you're new here, please go ahead and subscribe. You truly helped me out with that. But let's get started with what we know on the upgrades coming to the Spanish GP. First, let's get the teams that are not bringing anything here from what we've heard out of the way. So far, it's Haas, who did bring a pretty big update package to Imola. And while it did bring some performance, the team still has its struggles and suffers a lot on turn-in, but no upgrades for them, and Racing Bulls as well. Both Haas and Racing Bulls brought pretty big upgrade packages into Imola, changes of the floor, side pod design, and tweaks to the diffuser, which have all been very important. Racing Bulls seems to be back up to the top of the midfield, but Monaco is a very hard track to actually judge pace off of, so we'll have to see for Spain. And the last team that has not reported anything, but they've always been a bit low-key in 2025, is McLaren. Now, as I stated, this will be the track with the TD, and McLaren's got a very flexy front wing, and of course that has added performance to an already extremely good car. There's definitely going to be some change in that front wing, whether that will be an upgrade or not, that will be yet to be determined. But for right now, those three teams do not have an upgrade package set for Spain. I'm going to make my way up in the pecking order here, so we will start off with Sauber. They brought some update packages in the beginning of the season. They didn't actually have their full car in testing, brought their full car in Australia. And honestly, I gotta say, I'm a little impressed because the car itself is a bit better than we've seen in previous seasons. It's still very bad in balance, but it's hard to tell if it's the worst car or not going from track to track. And while that is an improvement, and I am a little impressed, that doesn't mean that the car is in a good shape. There is one performance package coming here, and from what I have heard, it's supposed to be a floor. They also suffer like other cars on the very bumpy tracks, and the balance has been all over the place, so a floor upgrade, if done correctly, can add a lot of time to a team that is still laying around that P9 to P10 position. Now, I have also read some reports on Williams bringing an upgrade here, but this is supposed to be circuit specific, just like in Monaco, how they brought a big bulky rear wing. They could be making a few tweaks to their front wing as well. It does have some flex and it's pretty notable, so there definitely will be some change done to the Williams car. What a great package, and we have more updates that they will have some upgrades in this season. It won't be done till summer. There is still supposed to be one big package, unless it gets streamlined to Spain, which I'm not expecting, but it is possible. There is set to be one circuit-specific upgrade for Williams here. I'm expecting stuff to the front wing, tweaking it because of the flexiness. Next team finally bringing some upgrades will be Alpine. Most of their stuff is focused for 2026. They're kind of like Williams, not putting a lot into the car. But for Spain, there is set to be a new floor for the team. They struggled really badly in Monaco, which was something that I didn't expect because low speed has been pretty decent for them. But the tracks with the bumps, that's where they really suffer. And Gasly talked about the setup being super compromised in Monaco, hence why they were not able to make up any positions in qualifying, and the car overall was just very tricky to drive. Bahrain was a very special GP. They were ahead of the whole midfield and fighting with top four. Well, Red Bull in that case over there. And they are hot conditions. I have also heard about cooling updates coming here as well. But the big thing is the floor. That's always the focal point for all these teams. And I haven't seen too much footage on the Alpine front wing. I do know they were one of the only teams in the beginning of the season when there was that rear wing TD introduced in China for the flexing. It was actually Alpine and Haas that needed to change that. Funny enough, actually the Mercedes has a very flexy rear wing, but it was Alpine that needed to change that. And from then on, they haven't brought any full big upgrades to the car just yet. But expect something in Spain. Red Bull has brought a little bit of something to pretty much every single GP, and this should be the same case in Spain. They do have a flexi front wing themselves. I'm going to be mentioning that a lot in this video as that is such a big talking point going into Spain. And clearly they have gained a tenth or two off of the update package that came in Imola. But in Monaco, just like it's been in 2024, the same problems in 2025 proceed. They can't take the curbs correctly. And those bumpy tracks with the car running so low makes it suffer because shockingly enough, their mechanical platform doesn't have enough to give them that grip that they need in those traction zones. Now, Spain has been a very good track for them since the start of these regulations. It's flat, it's great for testing, this car runs low, and while I do know of 2 performance upgrades coming here, I don't know what they will be. I can't say that for certain, because there was a big update to the side pods. They ended up changing the floor even earlier in Miami. So what we can expect is probably something to the front wing, as they do need to make changes there. Yuki and Max have been running completely different cars because of the crash that Yuki had in Imola and previous incidents before, like Saudi. They don't run the same spec of car, which definitely is hindering his performance, but he has just been a step or two down. We got to talk more about Yuki. He's just been off the pace completely, but we do know it's tricky with the 2 cars. Obviously, Max can handle it. He's probably the only guy that can handle a Red Bull, but the qualifying gap is just too big. And from what we saw in Monaco, he will not be running the same spec. So these performance upgrades that are coming, I expect them to go to Max. Now, a team that we know and what they're bringing here is Aston Martin. I talked about them in my previous upgrades video. They finally made a step in the right direction. Imola was big for them because it gave them a boost in aero load and really the consistency. And Fernando himself actually said the car feels much better. You got to have a very confident and strong car in Monaco to perform well. I would say it performed pretty good, at least for the standards that we've seen for Aston Martin in 2025. And there will be a front wing change here. And Fernando himself has talked from the beginning of the season that this should be a big and good GP for the Aston Martin team. It's got a lot of high speed and medium stuff. That's really the only spot where this car has excelled. But in Monaco, they were pretty quick in the low speed stuff as well. So they have improved in any cornering speed, and they've already been pretty strong on the straight. So the wind tunnel is working correctly. We're not going to see 2026 parts just yet. Adrian Newey has also confirmed upgrades for Silverstone. That's pretty crazy that he just threw something out. I would expect more 2026 stuff for Silverstone, possibly being tested by Adrian just to see how it's going around the car. He was on the grid in Monaco. I saw him noting some stuff down for the McLaren, and that could be possibly our first time seeing something from Adrian. This front wing has been in the wind tunnel for a while now. It's the new one, and obviously with this being that TD Directive GP, it's being brought here to help out the car. They said it should be a pretty decent GP, so let's see if Aston Martin can continue off of the momentum they've had. Even though Fernando still can't score points, he really is the unluckiest driver of 2025 so far. Now, the teams with the big upgrade packages, what you guys have probably all been waiting for, is going to be Mercedes and Ferrari. I'm going to start off with Mercedes. Now, there are a couple things to note here, and if you're a Mercedes fan, I wouldn't say it's looking that great. I expected a lot from them in Imola. They brought that new front wing, and what they did in Monaco was change it. So the new front wing they brought in Imola was the one that wasn't flexing a lot. But before that, and I would still say because they used it in Monaco, that front wing flexes more than anybody on the grid. It's got a significant amount of flex, and that helps with cornering, with straights, going into the braking zones. So that is pretty crucial, especially if you revolve your package around that. Now, Toto Wolff, just to shed some good light on this, has said, after seeing what the front wing did in Imola, they have a good understanding of what they need to do for these Spain upgrades. Now in Imola, they did bring a little something to the rear intakes and a front wing, but we will see a new floor and diffuser here, which obviously brings the most amount of time and will be crucial for them to get back up to the step that they were at. A very well-balanced car. It's quick everywhere. It struggles a little bit with the slow speed stuff, which has continuously been the problem because the mechanical stuff isn't great. They did change also a little bit of something in the rear suspension, forgot to note that. But this is going to be really showing if Mercedes can be up there with the top four, because right now Ferrari is right in that fight after a decent Monaco. And they're not too far off of Red Bull and Mercedes, so it's going to be a very important GP for them. Can they get under that tire wear? It's been a struggle. And will the new floor correlate correctly when they bring it on track? Last team is the team in red, and they are probably bringing the biggest upgrade package for their season. This will be very crucial. Now, the Ferrari car does have a front wing that flexes, but it's not as bad as the Mercedes, as the McLaren, and even the Red Bull. It's been talked about a couple of times, but their actual full package and really the flow going over the car doesn't revolve too much around the front wing flexing. Some teams have gone down that route and will have to change that because of this TD directive. Now, Ferrari thankfully has bigger problems and has struggled with different things. This isn't going to be their game changer GP, but hopefully it can bring them a bigger setup window, because on a track like Monaco, with the amount of bumps and them struggling so much with the rear plank and in general the rear of the car, being able to handle that was a very good thing for them. They actually caught me off guard. I didn't even expect them to be in the top 5, at least going off my predictions. But the talks are bringing a new front wing. They haven't changed anything on the front wing for a while now. This is pretty much the same front wing that we saw in Singapore of 2024. And they did bring a brake duct upgrade in Imola, which has said to have actually helped the rear tire degradation. The front wing will be crucial for them updating that, and it is said that there should be something done to the floor here as well. We're waiting for Silverstone to see some confirmation of the whole rear suspension talk, and them still putting a decent amount of upgrades into 2025. These updates they've recently brought is all about tire temperature, being able to optimize that, and aero efficiency over the whole car. It's going to be a very interesting GP for us here in Spain, and I'm quite excited to cover it. I'm going to have a lot of content this week, so I hope you guys stay updated with me. Go ahead, please give it a like, subscribe. It would mean the world, and peace.